I thought Leah was coming, but she's on microphone. Yeah, just find out if she's still. She told me she was coming over. Okay, we're almost ready to start. We're getting ready to start. One of the things that we like to do at the beginning of every Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic is to remind people that they will extend this happy hour. I know it says 4 to 6. These prices will apply for the remainder of the evening. So you can, we've got a lot of great stuff here. If you haven't had any of the food that they serve over at Niche, it's pretty great. And it's okay to bring anything that you purchase over there in here. Just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware that there's art. And if you're sitting near the art, please just be aware of that and try not to knock into it or damage it in any way. And try to control yourself if you're near Scott Pluka's beautiful wood sculpture. And then tip them and be nice to them because there's more of us than there are of them. So, And this is going to go back over there, so if you forget, you can go check it out. I think we're waiting for Leah, who's the owner of the gallery, the gallery director.
I'm going to get her.
Okay. So I guess as soon as we get, Leah wants to say a few words, which often she does not. Is there any other business stuff? We have a few new people. All right, so here, please say hello to Gallery Director Leah Jackson.
Okay, just a couple quick things that are coming up. If anyone is interested in being here in their warm, snuggy pajamas on Saturday, it's our pajama party. And we have a tarot card reader, and we'll have some special hot cocoa, and that starts at 7. It goes 7 to 10. And other than that, I think that's the only real announcement I have, except enjoy the celebration of the Male Forum Show. I do this every year for my birthday, so let's celebrate men.
Happy birthday.
I celebrate men.
It was her birthday a few days ago, so happy birthday to Leah. And yes, and we have some people in the room who have worked in the show, so why don't you just raise your hand. I have a piece in the show. Alex Reed, Marianne's beautiful photo of Herb Stokes, which is on the cover of his book. And Morgan, who's coming into the room now, she has some work in this show. It's an open call that happens every year, so around December, start looking out for that. If you want to know about events and classes and things that are happening at Angst Gallery, I'm helping Leah to post all of that stuff on Facebook and make sure that goes out there. Same thing with Niche. There's plenty of stuff that Niche is doing as well. Okay, so I think we're just about ready to start. My co-host and wife and partner in Truth and Beauty, thanks Ian for the help on that, is Tony Partington. And I don't know if, do you want to say a few words to say hello? Okay, maybe later. Okay. All right. So tonight we're gonna leap right into the open mic, and our first reader for the evening is Rosina Duckworth. So please welcome her to the mic.
Thank you. This is my first time reading in front of you, so here goes. The title is Little House. Oh, how I love my little house, with crystal windows looking out on balcony baskets, flowering down to ivy trellis that snugs the ground. Grandma's clocks with weight and chimes greets my morning in kitchen rhymes, with kettle whistle, mockingbird song, tea in the pot, and biscuits before long. Vintage dishes, thrift store treasures, lying hut shelves, hold the right measure of goodness served from cast iron pot, a yesteryear vessel from salvage shop. All I own is a step away from where I sit to read or play, a comfy chair, stool for my feet, furnishings ancient but replete. In brass bed heirloom, dreams are sweet under blanket of down or wool from sheep, hand-stitched quilt of patchwork squares. Royals could boast no finer layers. Antique brass knocker on my door says welcome, and I'm home once more. Hang my coat upon the rack that holds my hat and rainproof wrap. Safe from the wind and gale-force storm, Its arms enfold me, snug and warm. Cares of the world all melt away. My fortress portal keeps harm at bay. I left a castle to give my soul space, vanquished ego demanding its place. And to outside eyes it has great lack, but a house is a home when it loves you back. So I'll scrub the floors and polish the handles, wash those dishes, light beeswax candles, and I'm at peace with the world as I glance around my tiny abode, the best to be found. And if I'm allowed, I'd like to share with you something I wrote for a friend of mine who had just gone through the death of her husband. It's a bit poignant. To Cal, your love of life made me glow in your presence. In joyful chaos, we drank in the essence of moonlit nights in mist-filled mountains. We danced through the cosmos to love's refrain. And we sang. Words from our eyes were all we need say to cue the music of passion's ballet. Nestled in night-long, limb-long touch, sweet scent of each other in seamless clutch. And we slept. We slow waltzed the years, ignored intermission. Then the music changed pace without our permission, out of sync between your timing and mine. Too many beats skipped. The song lost its rhyme. No way to rewrite it or reset the clock face. The orchestra silenced, left with no trace. And we wept. Last day memories are stuck in replay. What ifs torment me, rutting my way. A specter shadow haunts the long night, hollowing my soul without flicker of light. I am a cave. I thought I would die when you died, but I didn't. Hours come, moons phase in tandem with sunsets, and still I breathe. The end.
Oh, thank you. That was something I was going to pick up in just a moment, so thank you. That helps a lot. And a fine way to begin as well. Next we're going to, I knew that I would forget something, so here are the couple things I forgot. For people that are maybe here for the first time. The restroom that you would prefer to use, and that Leah would prefer you use, is in the bar next door, so go in past this shelf of wine and make a left. And the other thing is that you can buy whatever food and drink you want and bring it in here, but you cannot take alcoholic beverages between the two businesses. It's like a liquor control thing. So just be aware of that. Can't bring your wine out onto the sidewalk here and take it back and forth that way. But you can go between those doors there as much as you would like. Okay, so next we are going to hear from Christine Lamb White. Come on down, Christine.
Hi, everyone. This is a poem that I'm reading for my granddaughter. She didn't quite have the nerve to come read it herself, but it makes me so proud because as a writer, she and I have sort of grown up together, and I would make up stories. And the fact that she has a teacher in school that's very interested in her writing now is just, she sent me this and she said, "Oh, it's not very good, Grandma, it's just a little thing, but brilliant." So the prompt was where I'm from. And she writes, "Where I'm from, I'm a dark green forest covered in dew from the cold, damp air. I am from a soft page of a book covered in words. I am from the cold, icy frappe with the faint smell of chocolate hanging in the air. I remember the feeling of the warm floorboards beneath my feet early in the morning. I'm from Christmas of warm lights and the crisp smell of pine wisping through the air, from the presents under the Christmas tree. I'm from the wind blowing through my hair while racing around the barrels from the barn with all the animals about. I'm from a land of books taking me places I never thought it was possible. I'm from my mom, who is always warm and bright with joy, from my sister, who smells of chlorine from the water of the pool. I'm from birthdays full of fun and happy memories. I'm from the colorful rainbow leaves scattered about the ground. I am from those moments where I started to ride horses to learn something new. And Taylor's in the 8th grade. So that's Taylor Lovell.
Okay, raise your hand because we have some people coming in if you have an empty seat next to you so they can fill those in. So plenty of empty seats, just get to know these folks. They seem nice enough to me. Don't think they'll bite. If you'd like to have a seat. Okay, and next we are going to hear from Lenita. So please welcome Lenita to the mic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's perfect, I think. Thank you. Okay. Just as background, I wrote, I've been writing from the time I was about 6 or 7, I think, about as soon as I could hold a pen. But there was a period of about 17 years when I stopped. And this is one of the first poems I wrote after that. It's entitled, "Forgive me if these words move awkwardly across the page. They've been trapped inside me for so long. Perhaps their joints are stiff. Maybe their nerves have even gone to sleep. They are like old men now, bent over their gnarled canes, shuffling with jerky little steps from their chairs to their TVs." This is called The Curtain. I wrote it after a divorce, the only one I've had. Red velvet falls abruptly like a wall. Furniture rolls past, doors and windows disappear. One player exits after the other. I stand, no script, no costume, on this empty stage, wondering when my life became an act. And the last one is called Expecting Things. Self-explanatory, I think, when you hear it. If you have loved and lost, it's hard to love again, if love is what is lost. I suppose when you've been on the housetop one whole night, waiting for the rapture, and the gray dawn arrives first, you could begin to doubt the second coming.
Thank you, Lenita. And next we're going to hear from Jenny Power. Come on up, Jenny.
Okay, so this poem is called Carrying the Monster. It's a little loud. She is afraid of so many things. Walking alone at night in a parking garage, forgetting to put the keys between her fingers as she walks to her car, checking the back seat before she gets in to make sure she doesn't have an unwanted guest. She tries to avoid talking to a man she doesn't know and appearing too friendly, talking to a man she doesn't know and offending him for not being friendly. Even sleeping in her own bed takes radical courage because her dog is a coward, and maybe someone she can't fight off will figure that out. All it takes is reading the news story of a college athlete caught assaulting a woman behind a dumpster, and a knot of terror will slam against her gut like a terrible fist. She'll listen to reports on the radio and learn how his father described the attack as 20 minutes of action. And she'll think to herself how 20 minutes is more than enough time to violate a body, plenty of time to wreck a life. And when this athlete is allowed to be an athlete again, she'll listen sickened to him gloat that his life has returned to beautiful, even after she happened, as if she was the one who tore the underwear off his unconscious body and stuck her fingers into his genitals without consent. She's afraid of this man, of course, and of his father, and how they can so easily use their privilege to dismiss their evil, and worse, she knows that they are not some aberration of nature, a once-in-a-lifetime glitch in the course of human history. They are the abhorrent norm. She could catalog all the stories she's heard, but she can't contain them. They spill and burn. She covers her ears, but they flood the halls of collective memory, seep beneath the doorways, all the stories, stories of women and men she never knew. Yes, oh yes. But her mother's story also. And other families just as dear. Other family members just as dear. She is a witness to the collateral damage of this action, the impotent beholder of how this action ignites a chain reaction that chains a soul. She's afraid of these men, who are yet one more monster she must set the watchfires for, even though others believe they are nothing more than exaggerated tales of boogeymen. She tries to forget them, turn her attention to more concrete concerns, because she knows she cannot spend a life jumping at shadows, and she knows there are worse monsters hiding in plain sight who want to devour her body in a different way. These monsters smile, wear tailored suits, and write legislation declaring eminent domain over a woman's reproductive organs. And these smiling, well-groomed, well-spoken monsters will coerce these women into carrying unwanted pregnancies to term, even if these pregnancies resulted from being drugged or beaten, from being forced to endure interminable minutes of terror, humiliation, and pain. They smile when they serve as a judge and ask a victim why she couldn't keep her knees together, or call her attacker a good man, before sentencing him to the lightest possible sentence. And they smile when they claim a pregnant woman is nothing more than a host, and rape and incest are the will of God, and the rape itself is now a pre-existing condition no longer covered by insurance. And they smile when they tell a woman to smile, and then shame her when her skirt is too short and her blouse is too low, even when they sext her at all hours of the night. And if she should dare to love her body and love sex with others, and yet still feel that she has the right to choose, they will smile as they call her a slut and a whore, and ask her how much she had to drink and what was she wearing the night someone she trusted locked her in a bathroom and wouldn't let her out. I am afraid of their smiles. How their smiles proliferate like a virus on the steps of a state capitol, how these smiles flash and mesmerize millions of otherwise decent, compassionate, and rational women and men, how my own family and friends will now vote to own my body at the cost of my dignity, safety, agency, and health. And I am afraid of these smiles as they normalize tyranny and insist that I am spouting fake news. When I call them to account, I am afraid of their glib doublespeak, their talent for distraction, their gift for repeating lies until they are so internalized they become the ringing bell which enslaved the salivation of Pavlov's dog. There is so much fear, but the worst fear is that I am alone, that I will be forced to live within or carry the seed of this fear unaided forever, that now, this now, will be the beginning of a forever, where I will be forced to endure the death of myself so that I can help to birth this new age of horror.
Thank you, Jenny. Next, we're going to hear from Alex Bigu. Come on up, Alex.
Got it. I'm trying to empower people here.
Okay. Before I start, I just have not really an announcement. Well, it's an announcement. I'm looking for a new job, so if anybody has any ideas. Also, on that note, I have a book for sale, $10. It's a chapbook of poems. Also, 2 of those paintings, the 2 pink ones over there, are for sale, and those are mine. So, yes, support your local poet and now artist. This poem is called Dopamine. My long thumbnail brushing hair off my temple sounds like roof tiles sliding. Stop. The end of one hypochondria-created health obsession harkens the beginning of another. Stop. I can finally sit down normally, but I can't breathe. Stop. I'm not sure if my sister's dog is giving me more attention so that I'll keep her when I move, or if she's trying to warn me about something. Stop. My intuition is coughing like the Columbia River Gorge this summer and every summer to come. Stop. I'm waiting by the screen for a notification to give me a dopamine or 2 to spare. Stop. Little highs to curb the anxiety. Stop. Men keep walking too close to me. My mind amplifies their masculine consumption and screams gun. Stop. Social interactions used to be the reason I stayed away from queer gatherings. Now I worry will be the next biggest mass shooting, second biggest, third biggest, a faded memory, a full stop. And this is bird species never seen or heard before, after the drag artist Hungry and Bjork's Utopia. The whole world asks collectively, aren't you hungry? They ask this of a small bird that is mid-metamorphosis. The bird is halfway to hair, out of favor with feathers. A vagina erupts from between the hairy bird's legs. The whole world asks collectively, is she hungry? As if the image of a vulva is enough to address someone by a noun that they owe you. The bird's shuddering feet fold up into its sweating peach fuzz body. When the bird looks like only to be a ball of skin, hair, and a flag of lips, the whole world asks collectively, is it hungry? Does it need to eat? 3 oblong eyes untangle themselves from the north side of the bird. They are not round or almond eyes or square pupil goat eyes. They look like the number 9. The ball bird grows in several directions. Limbs and petals protrude alongside bone and bark. Eventually, the bird resembles an almost human save for the cock or heart. The bird bids its own creation, but it is mankind that names and genders it. Man who calls it her and calls it hungry despite no evidence of either. All men and the women who follow them ask, is she hungry? Although the bird is not hungry, it does have a caldera mouth and magma for digestion. It chews through all the Donald Trump and Roy Moore voters and takes an antacid after.
Our next reader is one of the few people who we can say has been coming from the very beginning, since we started the series in November 2004, so we're always happy to see Lori Loringer.
Hey, it's been made shorter for me, so that's awesome. Is that good?
Need it to go low?
No. It depends on what people hear out there, I guess.
That's good.
Thank you. All right. This is the moment where I decide what I'm going to read.
I may have read this before, but I just found it in my notebook, and I thought, gee, I think I'm going to read that. It's called Unraveling. Somewhere underneath, in a nook, small and deep, sleeps a tiny bit of fluff, powerfully compressed. Dig until you find the closest end. Grasp it twixt your fingertips, my muddled mind to mend. Untwisting, twining vines of story, pulling past apart, revealing everything. That fluff is a fuse, one atom expanding, exploding preconceptions, dismantling old hurt, transforming to ash all that is not true, shattering at breakneck speed. Shards of whatever I really am long to reassemble, to pull themselves together into something better. Somewhere underneath, dig, untwisting. That fluff is a fuse, shards of whatever, unraveling, disintegrating, aligning, harmoniously falling into place, into something better, shattering everything, revealing the power to mend. Now this one, I got an interesting list of prompts from a dear friend, and I was very intrigued by this one, which suggested that you write something using only prepositional phrases. So I call this Prepositional Journey. Outside the mainstream, left out of everything, beneath it all, down in the dumps, at the end of my rope, out of my mind, going downhill, over objections, above nothing, around the bend, into the void. Farther beyond, east of the sun, between dimensions, out of the blue, after everything, aside from the obvious, past the worst, beside myself, ahead of the future, over the moon, safe in your care, next to your skin, before the end.
Was that, did I give you the prepositions? Oh, okay. Tony asked me and I couldn't remember. I was telling my students today, because I taught my memoir writing class today, that when the classes are like really going, which they just started this week for the winter term, I'm coming up with something like 10 prompts per week, maybe more. On a week like this, where we have the workshop this weekend, then you can add another 3 or 4 to that. So I thought that would be a pretty good place to do the announcements that we always do. And one of them is that on Saturday, next door at Niche from 11:30 to 2:30 is the work. It's a monthly workshop that I host there. Because of the hour and because the bar is not open at that time officially, sometimes people bring snacks to share, but Leah does sell tea and coffee, so those things will be available to purchase. And what we basically do is I try to see how many writing exercises I can cram into that amount of time and also have a little bit of time for sharing. So you're going to come out with about like 3 to 4 new poems or drafts of poems at the end of that. And it's a $20 suggested donation, which really means that if you can't afford it or you don't want to pay, then we still want to see you and want to have you there with us. And of course, if you were able, we will happily take your donations. And a really exciting thing is happening the day after that. Sunday, the 5th season of Poetry Moves. The 5th time that poets from Clark County will have their poems on the buses for 6 months. So these folks who I'm about to name will be on the buses from, they're already on there since late in December through the end of June.
Are these adults or the children?
Right now we're about to start the adults, and the kids, so far it's been adults first and then kids for the summer through the end of the year. Yeah, so these folks, most of whom have read here at some point, and a few of whom I think are in the room, one of whom is here. April Bullard, Diane Kammer, Denise Campbell, Stella Guillory, who's read here a bunch of times, Jennifer Pratt-Walter, who also has, Pat Sciuccetti, Gary Suda, who has read here. Is Gary here tonight? I didn't notice. But Gary's been coming over from Battleground, I think, and we've been enjoying what he's been doing. Susan Williams and Angela Winfield is here tonight. Congratulations, Angela, for having a poem on the bus. And Louise Wynn. So what we do, and Louise Wynn is also read here, what we do when we launch the new set of poems on the buses, and these are, I think there's 180 plus buses throughout Clark County. There are 2 poem cards, they call them channel cards on each bus. So a lot of eyeballs will see these. And for some people, the first publication ever, and I think that's a great first publication because of how many people will actually read it. Some of us get our first publication somewhere where it's negligible whether anybody actually sees it. So this is great. Lots of regular folks will see it. And so from 12:30 to 2:30 on Sunday, January 14th, we'll be celebrating those people. And the bus cards, the channel cards from the previous 4 seasons of Poetry Moves will be there for sale. Arts of Clark County, who produced the cards for us, they sell the cards and use the money that they make from the cards to put back into printing more cards for the future of the program. So we're really... as Printed Matter Vancouver, Tony and I have been the judges for these 5 seasons, and we've really enjoyed doing that. And it's just a joy to do it.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
Now that you're stepping down as Mr. the Laureate.
Yes. I like that. Mr. the Laureate, I'm going to use that.
So who's in charge of that? Is that going to be a continued program?
I think so. You have to ask the Clark County Arts Commission that question. Yes, so am I on camera? I think I still am. You're going to have to ask the Clark County Arts Commission to answer that question.
Some new bastard has to get bullied now.
Somebody else. It was a joy, but I did it for 5 years. So the reason that I'm no longer officially doing that is because at a certain point you have to, let somebody do it. Let someone else do it. I loved every second of it, and part of the reason why I said that I wasn't going to do it anymore is that I'm inclined to just keep doing it, and it's not supposed to be like the fucking Supreme Court. You know? It's a 2-year term, even for the National Laureate, so we said to them, hey, you're going to have to figure this out. So I really hope that they figured it out. Okay, so Sunday, and we have cards up here, postcards if you want to know more about it. 12:30 to 2:30 at Vancouver's Library, the Vancouver Community Library over here, C Street and Evergreen. We will celebrate the people whose poems are already on the buses. By the way, I was telling Angela today, you don't have to be a bus rider to see them either. You can go to one of our transit centers here in Clark County and just ask the bus driver to let you on the bus. Because we've had the kids in the program and different people associated with the program ask the bus drivers to do that, and we haven't had anybody be. I mean, C-Tran's been wonderful, but the bus drivers have been wonderful too. They're totally happy to have the poems, and as long as they're not leaving right this second, they'll let you get on and take a look and take a picture if you want. So yeah, excited about that. And I think that's going to be it for now on announcements. We'll have some more announcements, except to say that we have one more reader before we invite our featured reader up, and I say that so that he has a heads up, and that reader is a regular at the series, and also, as we mentioned earlier, someone who has work in this month's show. We're happy to have her here again, Morgan Hutchinson. Say hello.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I was gonna rap tonight. Shit, you called me out on that. Damn it. Next time, Ian, February, my birthday month. That'll happen. It's on camera now. I gotta rap next month. All right, so I wrote this today, and this came out of me when I stopped trying. I was trying, and then I stopped trying, and then this came out. So it's called Reps. Reps, 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 repeating tiles, squares, 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 tilling soil, dirt, 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 distancing clouds, weather, 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 thinking patterns, shapes, 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 clearing past, looking, 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 starting over, touch, 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 building solid, self, 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 telling no one, you, daring sweetly, charms, 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 bearing weapons, lost, 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 unforgiven, chained, 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 making statements, lies, 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 turning over, words, 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 driving home, warmth, 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 staying grounded, fear, 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 getting nowhere, stars, 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 telling stories, help, 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 molding shoulders, time, 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 tearing pages, start, 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 breaking plates, new, 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 laying foundation, she, always learning, he, never stopping, they, defining freedom, fire, 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 shaping life, water, 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 swimming into, breath, 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 letting go. Thank you.